Hey friends, it's me, Dan. You may have noticed that I haven't been posting very much over the last few months. It's gotten kind of dusty here in my YouTube channel, a little bit of a musty smell, because I've been working on something else. Most of my production time has been dedicated to making an online course all about recording electric guitar at home. You're going to be hearing more about that from me in the near future. But here in this next couple of videos, I wanted to do a series of lessons on some simple but hopefully very powerful concepts that I've been working out with students in one-on-one sessions, things that I've had to figure out how to articulate to people as I'm guiding them with progressing on the guitar. And today's lesson is called Make It Musical. Make it musical. So what I mean by this is it's not unusual for guitar players to spend time just sitting there running scales up and down, working on our alternate picking technique and getting new shapes into our fingers and our muscle memory. But if that's all we do, if we never take those concepts and apply them in some sort of musical way in our practice, then when we sit down to actually play with somebody else or write a piece of music, you're going to just get a bunch of scales coming out. It's just reality that whatever you practice tends to be what you play. So some of your practice time should be dedicated to the idea of making the technical stuff musical. What do I mean by this? So I had a student who had only a short time in the morning to practice and a short time in the evening to practice. And he had decided that that morning time was going to be dedicated to running scales and just working on technical stuff because he liked to wake up his hands in the morning and get in touch with the guitar. And that's great. But he was saying, well, what do I do with my second practice session in the evening? And I said, well, why don't you take the things that you're working on in the morning and practice making them musical. Practice taking these scales that you're running and turning them into musical phrases, things that you might actually play in the context of a song. So, for instance, he was working a lot on the half-whole diminished scale, which is one of my favorites. And by the way, if you look in the show notes below, there's going to be a link to a PDF, just a one sheet that accompanies this lesson. You'll be able to see scale shapes and some of the other things that I'm playing. He's working on the half-whole diminished scale using this scale shape. Sounds something like this. And so I said, well, let's take that and practice making something musical out of it. I suggested that he create a drone. I like to play over something that kind of outlines what key I'm playing in, because I find that it makes more sense for me. It's more powerful if I hear the notes that I'm playing related back to the key that I'm playing in. So I made a little drone in A using my Chase Bliss Mood pedal. And I said, let's just take this scale shape and try to craft some musical phrases out of that. We could just start with this. So that's just moving up through the scale. And then what if we change the last two notes of that phrase to something else? It could be something like this. And let's do that again. Let's change the last two notes again. And then what would be interesting is to see if we could string those three simple ideas together and make a pattern. So maybe I'll try to play each one twice and then shift to the next one. I'll do it a little slow here. So the cool thing about that is now we have a longer musical phrase. a couple of bars long, something that we can practice. And there's some interesting challenges that have arisen out of kind of breaking out of just the running up and down the scale pattern. You have the first one, you're familiar with this if you've been practicing the scale. But as we change and we do the next phrase, it creates an interesting little technical problem. Getting comfortable with, you're doing the same finger sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, but each 2 fingers are on adjacent strings. And then for the third phrase, we're actually, the last 4 notes are 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're skipping a string. We're going from the G string to the E string. So it creates some new fun and interesting little challenges for your brain and for your hand. And then to string those short phrases into a longer sequence of phrases actually makes it like you're playing something musical. So, and then just practicing making that feel good, sound good, generating a good tone, but you're making it musical. You're taking something technical that could come out feeling stiff or sounding really programmatic and turning it into something musical quickly, so that when you sit down to play music with other people, you have access to phrases and ideas that aren't just scales. That's what I'm talking about when I say make it musical. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you have, and you don't want to miss out on any future videos, please click subscribe and the little bell button below to get notified when I post new things. I send out an email every week where I kind of expound on these ideas. You can find that by clicking the link below and going to my webpage and subscribing to my email list. Yeah, if you're interested in a one-on-one lesson, I love doing that. I love to connect with people and look people in the eye, even if it's over Zoom, and help people figure out what it is they want to work on and move forward with in their music. Or if you just have a comment, a question, send me an email at hello@danphelps.com or leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. So thanks again for watching. I'm Dan Phelps. See you next week.